As the field rolls off for their parade and pace laps, we take a look at the starting lineup for the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150. Cam Strader, the rookie driver, is on the pole with point leader Robert Huffman alongside. We skip on down to row 2. There's a familiar name.
Yeah, Steve Meal is the technical director for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. In fact, I saw Steve earlier today in the pits. He's telling me he likes the chances the guys have with this race car tonight. It's running really well. Johnny Chapman, he's a member of my crew before, so all these names are familiar in this series. It's a great series, and I've raced these cars before. In fact, I won the championship in this division back in 1983. So these guys are all inspired to win in this series and move up the ladder. You can see some names like Ned Combs. Ned raced back when I did, and then BJ Mackey, what's he, 18, 19 years old? He's a young kid doing a great job, and just tons of stories scattered throughout this whole starting lineup.
And these last few taking provisionals to get into the field. A little bit of trouble in qualifying as far as getting up to speed. So we're getting set to go. The green flag is coming up next in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150 on Speed Vision from Bristol. Hope you'll stay with us. Back at Bristol, getting ready for the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Before they get the green flag, let's check on strategy with Randy Pemberton down on pit road.
Well, Alan, pit stop strategy for this evening's 150 laps looks like this. They won't have to pit for tires at all. It's a very hard compound that Goodyear has brought here. The gasoline, well, they're going to need some. They'll probably have to pit at least by lap 110. We're going green flag.
All right, here comes the field off of turn 4. Pace car is on pit road. 150 laps set to go in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150. Good jump by Cam Strader, the rookie driver in the 6. He clears the pack in turn 1.
He got out of there in a hurry. Man, what a lead he got. See there, Shane Meal moving past our point leader, Robert Huffman, so he's making a strong move early as well.
Everybody cleanly through lap number 1. Boy, it just doesn't take long to get around Bristol. You're watching the last cars come across the start-finish line to complete lap 1. The leader's already halfway down the backstretch.
These cars are perfect for this racetrack too, Alan. They're lightweight. They've got plenty of power. Goodyear, like Randy reported, has a hard tire here. You're going to see a lot of action tonight. I guarantee you that. There's no way you can put these fast little race cars on this track with a hard tire and not expect somebody to get out of whack before the night's over.
Just saw Edward Howell there in the 07 car, the Lakeland, Florida driver, lose a couple of spots. He just lost 7th and 8th to Scott Weaver and Johnny Chapman. So he's now racing there with Jake Hobgood, who's right behind him in the 64 car, and that'd be for 9th and 10th spots.
There's Danny Bagwell. He's running 11th. He's just behind that battle for 9th and 10th. Brandon Ward, he's 12th, and Justin Hopgood's 13th.
That would be the 10, 11, and 65 cars, respectively. And up front, the top 3, as you watch Cam Strader. And we go on board with him now.
This is a great shot, too. This is what it feels like to be at Bristol. Did you hear him just barely burp the gas out? Comes off turn 2 here, a good grip off this turn, but listen to this. Off the gas just for a second and right back in it wide open, and that's why this race is so exciting for these guys. They love challenging the high banks here at Bristol.
Cam Strader, a 20-year-old from Wilson, North Carolina, Rookie of the Year leader in the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, got his first win in the division a couple of weeks ago.
And he's got the perfect racing name. His name is Cam.
There you go. He's got the veteran Barry Owen, veteran NASCAR Busch Series crew chief, helping him in this 2000 campaign. Looking at the race for 2nd and 3rd, speaking of expert help, Shane Meal in the 26, Robert Huffman in the 37, racing for 2nd spot behind the leader Strader in the 6.
We talked about Shane's dad, Steve. He's up spotting for Shane tonight, making sure he's watching over him, telling him what, letting him share his experience with his son so he can try to help him through this night.
And probably pretty nervous.
I would bet so, especially, I mean, he's running 2nd. He's only had a handful of starts in this series, and he's right with the leader, running 2nd and holding off Robert Huffman. And Huffman just had a great season this year, leading the points, winning races, just like he always does in the Dash Series.
So Cam Strader leads. We jump back here. This is the BJ Mackey car, the 84, trying to get 4th spot away from Ricky Bryant in the 5. Remember Mackey, the fast qualifier. We go on board with him here, the Bandcamp Beans onboard camera. Remember, he was the fastest qualifier. They draw up hills, as you heard him say in our Randy Pemberton pre-race interview there, to determine how many of the top 6 will be inverted. Wow, he put himself back to 6th.
I love looking at that. That's a great shot. You could see his face, BJ, looking in the mirror there, and how intense he is on driving that race car, getting it around the racetrack. Got the pole, started 6th. He's back in a little bit of traffic. Ricky Bryant there, but he will be toward the front before it's over. That car has just been fast here all day.
Ricky Bryant, a veteran of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, builds a lot of these cars that compete in this division.
Now this is when it gets good. You got guys that started near the back of the field, and the leader has caught them. He's starting to try to put some of these guys a lap down. Alan, a lot of times this one you'll see trouble. It's just because everybody knows they need to get in a hurry. Cam Strader's on the move. He's right behind them. He's already put 2 or 3 cars a lap down, and no one wants to go a lap down early in the race like this. That's Roger Sawyer's there. He's way up, top 5 in the points, but unfortunately had to use a provisional tonight. And now he's going a lap down just 20-some laps into the race.
30-year-old from Orlando, Florida, who goes down a lap as the leader Cam Strader and second place Shane Neal will overtake him. Next up, they will work up on the back of Tim Nichols in the 78 car. Boy, they get around here just so fast.
And they get around there very fast, like you said, and this is intense right here. This is when it's at its worst. When you're the leader of the race and you're closing in, you're trying to lap some guys, they know they don't want to go a lap down. They're all tangled up in traffic themselves, and this is when the leader has to really be on his toes.
And these first 2 guys here, Strader and Neal, just don't have a lot of experience. I mean, racing experience. They've been running go-karts and that kind of thing, but they're both youngsters and they don't have a lot of laps in this kind of traffic at these kind of speeds.
That's what makes it interesting. These guys get in these race cars, they're obviously very talented, able to get in them and take them to, oh,
trouble. Tim Nichols, just overtaken by the leaders, has punched the inside wall hard.
Very hard.
Here's another look off of turn number 4.
Oh, just slipped out from underneath of him there off 4, trying to lay off the car that was to his outside. He didn't want to get into the guy on the outside. Ripped the right front suspension plumb off his car. That's a vicious crash.
Wow, hard lick, and caution is out for the first time in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150. Cam Strader has led all of the laps so far. Let's take a commercial break. We'll come back for the restart in a minute. Back at Bristol in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150, there's the fast qualifier, B.J. Mackey. Look at the nose of his car.
That is not good. That won't help his chances at all. Let's see what happens here. He comes off turn 4. There's Nichols spinning to the inside. And we saw the right front suspension come off that thing. Look how that stuff just catapults.
Oh.
I mean, it blew right out in front of his car. Not a chance to dodge that at all, Alan. It came out of nowhere.
Tough break for Mackey, but he soldiers on and stays on the racetrack in 4th position, and we go back green.
Roger Sawyer was the car lap down on the inside, up top 5 in the points and already lapped down. What about Mackey? They stayed on the racetrack. The way he ran over that tire, I thought he would have come to pit road.
Yeah, I mean, the front end of his car is very heavily damaged as you look at Cam Strader out to a pretty good jump over Shane Neal on the restart. But back to the B.J. Mackey thing, he hit that tire hard, as we saw in that restart.
I can't believe the radiator isn't busted out of it, or something's wrong with it, but it isn't. And look, he's making moves. Let's look inside his car and see what he sees. Look at his face. Look how intent he is on what he's doing. Concentrating on the turn.
You better be.
I know.
At Bristol at these speeds, you better be.
Check out the tach. Turning that thing about 7,000, 7,500 RPMs and just barely off of the gas when they hit the corners.
Here's the race for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Ricky Bryant is in the 5 car. The 2 is Scott Weaver. And the 33 is Johnny Chapman. Let me just correct something I said a minute ago. Weaver in the 2 is the guy that builds a lot of the cars in this division, not Bryant in the 5.
Yeah, Scott Weaver, his family's been in this series since the beginning. I mean, they raced against me back when I was in this division.
Well, that's a long time ago.
Sad to say, but I
don't want to say you're old or anything.
I'm afraid you might be right.
You're getting there. All right.
Johnny Chapman, he's my buddy too. Johnny used to work on my Busch team even, and been working with Johnny a lot. He's going to be strong tonight. He always is in these races.
Here's the race from 11th down through 14th. Brandon Ward's in the 11 car. Zach Brewer's in the 31. Jimmy Britz, the Jacksonville, Florida driver, in the 92. And Justin Hobgood is in the 65.
A good battle here. You can see the car starting to slide up the racetrack a little bit, looking for maybe a little bit of grip in a different place on the track. These cars are smaller than the Cup cars, and we see Winston Cup cars running all over this track, top, bottom, and everywhere, so that'll start happening here as well. You can see Brewer there trying to move up toward the front on the outside.
Brewer and Britz there racing side by side. Brewer in the 31, and Britz looking like he's going to gain a spot there in the 92. That'd be 12th position if he's able to complete the pass.
Having problems doing that, completing that pass. Brewer's hanging tough on the outside.
When you're not off the gas for any longer than we've seen from a couple of those onboards, don't slip up the racetrack. You know, somebody's got to slip and have to crack the throttle, I think, if you're gonna complete that pass, because these cars are fairly evenly matched from the looks of it.
Yeah, you can see Brewer finishing up that getting back around him on the outside and coming up underneath the 11 of Brandon Ward there and seeing if he can do something on the inside there. You've got to be able to work on the top and the bottom, Alan, just simply because of the lap traffic, and then also, like you said, they're off the gas such a small amount of time that you don't have a whole lot of options. These cars handle good here, obviously, by listening to the in cars of how hard they're after the gas. So it'll be hard to pass people.
There's your leader, Cam Strader. We get a little take on his gap that he's opened up over second place Shane Meal, and now we drop back once again to this race for the 11th spot as Brandon Ward gets a little bit loose off the second corner.
Brewer's wanting that spot bad. Oh,
trouble. Around goes Brandon Ward down the front stretch.
I told you he wanted that spot bad.
Yeah, he did. Almost wound up in an accident, but somehow kept from hitting anything.
It looked like Ward had to check up. Yeah, check it out. He checks up a little bit for the 07 of Edward Howe.
Yep.
And Brewer had already committed to the bottom of the racetrack. Nice job there by one of the Hobgoods slipping to the inside.
That's Justin Hopgood. Somehow he keeps from being involved as well. So we're under caution for the second time. Back at Bristol, the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150, led by 20-year-old Cam Strader on board the 6 car, just ahead of Shane Meal in the 26. Here's the look from in the cockpit with the youngster from Wilson, North Carolina.
I hope he isn't looking out that mirror much. It moves around a lot. Kind of making me dizzy. I hope it's not affecting him that way.
And you see the interval between the top two very, very narrow at this point. Here's Doc Brewer. Yes, he's an actual doctor. Bobby Labonte's among his patients. So what's a doctor doing out here on the racetrack running a stock car around?
I just enjoy it, you know, and it helps me a lot of times treating the NASCAR crew member and drivers because it gives me their perspective.
Well, he's getting their perspective in pretty healthy doses right now as he continues in his Pabst Blue Ribbon car circulating around the Bristol Speedway. Trouble, Edward Howell spins. Angie Wilson spins around to keep from plowing into him, and they scatter into turn 3.
That happened right in front of Doc, too. He was right in that group of cars as well. He was able to slip through there. Angie did a 360, but she's got that thing heading in the right direction. Everything's good.
Lap 47. Caution is out. Third one of the race. After trouble off of turn number 2, Edward Howell, the first one to go around, and Angie Wilson spinning in the aftermath to keep from running over him. So while the caution is out, we wait to see if anybody's going to make a dive onto pit road here for the first time in the race.
I was going to say,
here it is.
I bet they do, Alan. This is about 100 laps from the end of the race, and these cars will go that far on gas. So they want to get in now as soon as they can, since they're not going to change tires, get their gas, be done with that part of it, and ready to make up all the track position they can on once they go back green. You can see here Mackey's under the hood of that thing after that tire came in there. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe we'll get Randy to check on that.
Only 8-gallon fuel cells on board these cars, so the fuel much needed. Now there's Greg Goodell. He stays out of the racetrack, and he is going to become the second leader of the event. Let's take a look at Shane Meal on his pit stop. Whoops,
wow.
Look out.
Almost hit the wall. And now he needs to back that. You see the official, he's saying back it up, back it up. And I guarantee you Steve Mills on the radio saying, don't work on that car until you get it back behind the line, because once you get back in your pit, you can make your work, you can do your stop without any penalty. But if you pit outside your box, it's a lap penalty.
Back at it under the green flag with Greg Goodell, now the leader as we go back up the speed into turn 1. Shane's actually kind of lucky there because they put the fuel in while the nose was still over the pit box line.
Well, they were trying, though.
Yeah, they were trying.
They were getting it back as good as they can. Goodell here's got the lead. You have to wonder if somebody like Roger Sawyer now, who's a lap down, some of these guys are a lap down, this is probably going to be their best chance to get a lap back. You put Strader out in front and Meal, the way those cars are running, people are going to have a hard time accomplishing that task. But got a guy, Goodell, who started in the back of the field.
Oh, look at this.
Holy.
Trouble on the back straightaway. Scott Weaver's involved. This is on board Cam Strader's car, signaling to some of the others in the field to slow down. There's Weaver. You've got Jimmy Britz and Justin Hobgood involved in the accident. Weaver does not look happy, does he?
He looks very upset.
That's Jimmy Britz he is having a discussion with.
Explain to Jimmy exactly what he thought happened.
And I believe that's Carl Simmons there, one of the officials that normally works the NASCAR Busch Series having a little discussion with Scott and telling him he'd best calm himself down.
And that's great advice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how mad you are, it isn't worth it.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. Back at Bristol, the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150 is under caution for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. There's the fast qualifier for tonight, B.J. Mackey. He's out of the race, as is Scott Weaver. He's with Randy now.
Scott, I can understand why you're upset. No question about it. How did you see it unfold?
Well, we had our pit stop there, and there's some lap cars started up in the front. Anytime you got that, it's going to be a slow restart, and you just have to be patient till you work your way around them. And unfortunately, there's a couple of us that just ain't quite patient enough, and got into the back of them and turned me around and caused a big old wreck. And it's a shame for the Weaver race cars, Jim Cook Chevrolet. I mean, we had a good car, and we were sitting there riding, biding our time, thought we had a good car to finish good with. We'd made our pit stop, got out of there clean, and was looking forward to the end of the race. And you just got to learn to be patient. You can't, this is a beginner class, and a lot of beginners in it, and that's one of the things you got to learn. I've been fortunate enough to be in it for a long time, and they'll learn.
Obviously, in the heat of the moment, you gave him a piece of your mind.
Well, it would have been a little different, but it's not the first time it happened, and tempers flare. I'll have to go apologize to him a little later, and we'll be okay when it's over.
Well, Scott's obviously got a torn-up race car, and he builds the race cars, like you said, Alan. He understands what it takes to build one of these things, so he's a little nervous. Let's go back down to Randy and see if we get the other side of the story.
We talked to Scott, and obviously everybody saw what happened, him coming over, effectively placing the blame on you. In the second question, he said he's going to have to come and apologize to you, but how did you see it?
Well, I got a good run on the outside of the 10 car on a restart, and I think that may have put a little bit of extra pressure on him. And coming off turn 2, the 10 car, it appears as though he may have bumped the 2 car, and the 2 car got a little sideways, and we were already hard on the gas, and by the time I got backed off a little bit, I was already bumped the 2 car, and we're all trying to get off each other, and then we all crashed together. We all pretty well died together. It's unfortunate. I feel sorry for Scott. I feel bad for myself. I feel bad for Justin Hobgood. It's just a bad day at the office.
So Jimmy Britz and Scott Weaver out of the race, and the green flag is back in the air. Roger Sawyer in the 38 trying to get a lap back from Greg Goodell, the leader, in the 95.
Greg's still staying out with his fuel, and it afforded Sawyer an opportunity to get that lap back, like we said.
Tail end of the lead lap now for Roger Sawyer. Hopes for a quick caution to be able to come back around and rejoin the pack. There's Cam Strader, the driver who led the opening laps of this one, along with Shane Meal in the 26. They are 3rd and 4th now. And Robert Huffman in the yellow car, the 37, he's running in 5th.
Those guys have been tied together since this race started, haven't they, Alan?
Yeah, basically. Haven't gotten away from each other at all. There's Angie Wilson down in the garage area, about to get out of her machine. Getting a report that it is the rear end differential that has gone out of the car, so she would be done for the night. Attrition list kind of growing here pretty quickly.
Yes, it is. Cam Strader here trying to get to the front. You can see the leader there.
There's Greg Goodell. 95 car, here he comes. New leader once again is Cam Strader. It didn't take him long.
No, it didn't. He's going to try to swing around the car of Brandon Ward there as well. That car looks like it's just right, doesn't it, Alan?
Cam's? Oh, yeah.
He gets the thing down to the bottom of the racetrack and mows. And Shane Meal hasn't lost an inch to him all night long. These 2 cars are obviously...
they're just sticking right together.
They are, and they're obviously the class of the field, but track position, pit stops, lap cars, there's so many things that help settle the issues at a racetrack like Bristol. I wouldn't be writing them a check yet.
I think the big thing right now is the relative inexperience of these 2. The top 2, as we look at Goodell, boy, he's got his hands full. Wonder if he's got a tire going down. There's Danny Bagwell and Zach Brewer, got by him. That's 7th and 8th spots, so Goodell really backing up in a hurry here. And, it's certainly not a fuel issue at this point.
No, his car's fading, though. Like you said, it'd be interesting to know if he's got some sort of problem with it. We're sending Randy all over the place down here trying to find this stuff out. This is just a good race, good competition.
Here's the challenge for position. This is for 10th spot. That's Maxie Bush in the 22.
Yeah, Maxie was racing when I was in the series as well. See Zach Brewer there.
Zach, the winner of this race a year ago, started on a provisional, hit it on the backstretch, came all the way through to victory lane, and he's in the hunt for another one tonight. So Cam Strader is the leader. And speaking of Maxie Bush, here he is on the hunt again as the Greg Goodell car continues to fade. This is going to be a race for 9th and 10th spots.
Looks like Maxie's got that thing tuned up good.
Moving right on up through the field.
Making a move around Ricky Woodward a few laps ago, and now by Goodell.
So Maxie Bush up to the 9th spot and trying to pick his way up front. Zach Brewer in the 31 car. The next one he'll catch for a position for 8th, though he's got a little ground to make up before he'll do it. Now Goodell left the race with Ricky Woodward in the 20 car. And we go back up to this continued race for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Back to that point I was making a minute ago, these first two guys are relatively inexperienced. And Robert Huffman has been around these cars succeeding for a long time. So the difference in the outcome of the race might be Huffman's experience versus the other guy's inexperience when it gets down to the deciding laps.
Yeah, and he's not excited at all. I promise you that. Huffman's been there, done that, seen it all, and he's just sitting there biding his time, putting in laps, trying to get this thing down to the end where he can probably, he figures he can sneak the victory away from the young kids, I guess.
Danny Bagwell in the 10, running in 7th. And there is the defending winner of the race, Zach Brewer, in the 31. He's in 8th position. Boy, this race is going by in a hurry. We're at halfway. They just completed lap number 75 of 150. Here's your field summary, sponsored by Pure Wesson. Let you know where everybody's at. There's Johnny Chapman in 6th. Doc Brewer back in 14th position. Edward Howell has slipped back to 15th, although that's not bad considering the spin we saw him have a little while ago. Look at Roger Sawyer.
Back on the lead
position
lap.
And back on the lead lap.
Brandon Ward's been able to stay ahead. I talked about the dominance of the front cars, but Brandon, you can see there in the white number 11, he's been able to stay out in front of these guys. Shane Mills getting a little bit anxious too, riding in second. He's been all over Strader. A couple of times he's tried to look to the bottom side of the racetrack, so things are tightening up at the front.
Cam Strader in the 6, Shane Beal in the 26. The 37 is Robert Huffman. The next car behind him is Jake Hobgood in the 64 and Ricky Bryant in the 5. This is all the top 5 cars, all bunched very tightly together as they pick their way around some of the lap traffic. That was Wally Leatherwood in the 36 they just put a lap on.
There's the 5 of Ricky Bryant.
Hanging right in there.
Staying right with the top 5.
Yep. 3rd, 4th, and 5th you're looking at here. Huffman and Hobgood and Bryant. It's Jake Hobgood, the son of the 94 Goodies Dash champ Will Hobgood. The two brothers competing in the series. We saw Justin go for the spin a little while earlier.
That's a family event when they go to the racetrack, isn't it?
A whole clan of them. Winsboro, South Carolina's favorite native sons here in the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, showing their stuff and generally very successfully too. Tell you what, got to be impressed with the job that all of these drivers in these top positions have done, because they have had a lot of lap traffic, and several of the incidents that have happened right in and among the leaders. Remember when Brandon Ward went for the spin, and when Edward Howell went for the spin, and when the lap car crashed right in front of B.J. Mackey. That could have really scattered up these front few.
Yeah, and it looks like Strader is dealing with a loose problem too. His car doesn't look as good as it did early in the race. We've seen that thing dance a little bit sideways with him, and it's enabled Shane to close right up on him. So you battling all this traffic, trying to lap guys, running high, running low, and have a car as loose as that one appears, you've got your hands full.
Ah, to be young and brave.
Oh, there's a problem
trouble
for Danny Bagwell.
7th place car is off the pace. Caution is out. Lap 86. It's the 5th yellow of the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150. Under caution for the 5th time in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Backstretch pit area. Roger Sawyer is in. Greg Goodell is in. Wally Leatherwood is in. And there's Bagwell heading back onto the racetrack after his spin a moment ago that put us under the caution.
We're going to line right back up and get right back after it, Alan. Cam Strader is returned to the front.
He is the leader. Shane Meal is second. Robert Huffman is third. Jake Hobgood is fourth, and Scott Weaver is fifth, and we're back at it.
What about Strader's transmission? He jumped off to a start like that on the initial start of the race, and I mean, he's got 10 car lengths right off the bat.
It's not going to take Meal long to run him down, though.
Not what we've
he's
seen.
been able to do it every time.
That car's getting loose. Something's wrong with that 6 car, I believe. You don't have a car as dominant as his was early in the going and just lose it that quickly. You must have a problem. Check it out how it always looks sideways when it's going around the corners. Earlier, you didn't notice that. Looks like it's hung out.
Strader trying to hang on to the lead as we drop back to the race for 4th and 5th. That is Hobgood in the 64 in 4th, and Weaver in the 5 in 5th. Excuse me, not Weaver, Bryant. I've been getting those two confused all night.
There's the battle for the lead. Strader's up high and sideways. He needs to keep that car straighter.
Strader?
Strader does.
You're proud of that, huh? Hey, let's check down in the
Whoa,
leaders.
look at the black marks.
Change for the top spot.
Takes the lead sideways. That was great.
Let's go to Randy.
Well, Alan, as Shane Meal takes the lead here at Bristol, I can tell you that Cam feels that he has a right rear tire going down. They just could not afford to give up the track position under that last caution flag. So he wasn't sure if the tire was going down. He's going to go ahead and try to run it out. But he's in trouble right now.
I would say so.
Ooh.
It'll only get worse, too.
Oh, speaking of trouble, there's Jake Hobgood up the racetrack. Look, the right front tires left the car. Heads up on pit road. Wow.
Oh, and in the aftermath of all that, there's Doc Brewer, Danny Bagwell. Golly,
All
what
kinds
a
of
crash.
cars involved.
Edward Howes in the middle of the front straightaway. There's the 7 car of Scott Redmond. And it
Jake
all
Hobgood.
started by Jake losing the right front. I bet you the tire, wheel, and the whole assembly looks like there's some damage to the car, Alan.
Look at that. Watch this tire go right back across the racetrack. Oh, that's scary. He was running 5th at the time.
Now watch
and now
out.
here's the crash in the aftermath. Looks like Redmond got hit from behind.
Yeah, it's just so hard. Things happen so quick here.
Wow. Let's take a break. We're under caution. Lap 94 here at Bristol. Back at Bristol as we go back under the green flag in the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150. About 2/3 of the way through the race. Be 100 laps down when they come back. And it is Shane Meal who is out in front. Took the lead from Cam Strader just before the caution. The report, Strader thinks he might have a tire going down, but still did not pit to check it out for sure.
Well, I'm going to have to call that a mistake. That tire is going down. And that car is obviously handling much differently than it was earlier in the race. I think you got to get to pit road and get that thing checked out.
Especially when you got enough laps left like they have, 50 laps to go, where you've got some time to recover, and the number of cars on the lead lap kind of thinning out a little bit.
Well, that's the point, and that car is so good early in the race. He could go to, and plus, but Alan, you see all these crashes back in traffic. Maybe he just is that uncertain that maybe the car's changed a little bit, but he hasn't changed tires. I have to say this is a mistake. He needs to get that car to pit road.
Here's a challenge for second, Robert Huffman. Up to the inside of Cam Strader. You've got Brian in the 5 and Johnny Chapman in the 33. Going to try and follow him through. Huffman through to second. Here comes Bryant down to the inside.
One of the veterans of this series, Johnny Chapman, we hadn't heard a whole lot about him, but he's been lurking right around the top 5 there, keeping all the fenders on it, the nose clean, and trying to get toward the end of the race. Look at there.
Oh, 3 deep into the corner.
Now, why did I have to say that right then? And all of a sudden, He goes 3 wide right in the middle of the turn.
Johnny Chapman, the 91 Goodies Dash Series champion, making a move to grab the 4th position away as Cam Strader continues to fade. Now here's the defending winner of this Bristol race from a year ago, Zach Brewer in the 31, up to challenge Cam Strader as we kind of document his slide back through the field.
Those 2 cars are going the other way. Both those cars look real good right now at this point in the race. The 5 of Bryant and the 33 of Chapman, and this is the other end of the spectrum here. Strader's trying to hang on to a car that has turned bad loose on him for some reason. We don't know if it's a tire going down or what, but something has happened to that car.
Maxie Bush in the 22 moving up to join that race for position. Here's our leader, Shane Meal. Boy, what a thrill it would be for this young man to score the win, huh?
Yeah, and you know who would be a bigger thrill for, I bet, his dad, who's up on top spot and checking this out. Man, that's just a great feeling when you're watching your son do something this big. And winning at Bristol's big, whether you're in a Dash car or what you're driving. You can see a couple more cars there. The 31 of Brewer and the 22 of Maxie Bush making their way around Strader as he continues to fall back through the field.
So now Cam Strader back to 7th spot after he led most of the opening 100 laps of this race.
Got some good green flag action. We've had a few accidents, but these things, once they go back green, we're able to see some good racing amongst the cars. And like you said, the cars on the lead lap, the number of those are thinning out. Guys that are good on long runs, it's really paying off. And this is a cat that's been exceptional on the long run, Shane Neal. How much you think his dad had to do with the setup on this thing? You think he comes in just kind of observes? Or?
Yeah, you know, I mean, he probably stands back and just says, go ahead and do what you want, you know.
Making sure it's not in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah, right. He's probably up to his elbows in grease. Now, you know, as the technical director at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, he probably doesn't get his hands dirty a whole lot these days, but I'll bet you he does on Shane's car.
Yeah, I know it's a big deal to him that the talent that Shane has shown and the ability he shows to drive that race car just got to make Steve feel wonderful.
Watching Maxie Bush there in the 22 try and move away from Cam Strader in the 6. So Cam is all the way back to the number 7 spot, and there's Zach Brewer, who's moved up into the 5th position in the old Milwaukee car.
Maxie Bush working his way around the outside of the lap car there.
Back up on the race leader by the outside of the Jake Hobgood car, slowing down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Apparently the repairs they made after having that right front wheel and suspension damage a little while ago, not enough to keep him up to speed. Neal has moved out to a good lead. Look at this. Trouble. Huffman goes around. Tapped in the back bumper by Bryant. Off of turn number 2. Wow. 2nd place and 3rd place spin around after tangling in the number 2 corner. Caution is out once again.
That's 1st and 2nd in the points, too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be jacking around when you're 1st and 2nd in the points in a situation like that, and it's caused Bryant some damage. It looked like, Alan, that Bryant just got into the back of Huffman and turned him around.
Caution is out. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more action at Bristol in just a minute. Back at Bristol and back for the restart. It is Shane Neal, the leader in the 26 car. But now he's got the 91 Series champ Johnny Chapman in the 33 up on his back bumper in 2nd after Robert Huffman and Ricky Bryant kind of got spun out there a little while ago.
Well, that's something that Neal didn't want to see. I can promise you that. He was cruising. He had him a nice lead. And now, like we said, you got Johnny Chapman running in 2nd, 91 Series champion. A lot of experience right there behind the young kid. So that heated his seat up a little bit.
Looking back, Brandon Ward in the 11 car runs in 6th. He is trying to catch Keith Rogan in the 94, who's running in 5th.
We saw Brandon make up a lap earlier, so that car's good. He's made up a lap and all the way back up to 6th.
Rogan, a 20-year-old from Winter Haven, Florida. 16th in Dash Series points in the 99 campaign, which was his first in the series. And there is Brandon Ward, who is a 19-year-old from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the North Carolina State Karting Champ in 94, 95, 98, and 99.
Now he's got him a car with some doors and fenders on it, and he's having a big time.
There you go. You see there the race for 3rd. Zach Brewer and Maxie Bush still going at it. These two drivers have kind of been in the top 10 all night, but for the most part, 6th to 9th or so, and now they've picked up a couple of spots after the spin-outs a little while ago.
Well, that car of Bush's just looks good. That thing looks like it's handling well. You don't see that car out of shape. He's been able to really charge up through the field, gaining ground all night long. So he could be positioning himself for a run at the victory as well.
Plenty of time to go. We've got about 30 laps left in the race. That's a neat shot. Don't get that at any other track but Bristol. Tell you, seeing a lot of sparks beginning to happen from some of these cars too, really bottoming out heavily.
Well, they're like everybody else. They're learning that softer is better. The car wants to get down and ride in the racetrack better, but there's tailpipes and valences and so forth that want to scrub the track a little bit. But when you see those sparks, and they only happen, say, once around the whole track, you're gaining time by the fact that you're running lower the rest of the way around. So it's just part of the strategy of setting the car up how you want to do it. You could see Mill's car there not sparking, and then right off the corner, Brewer's car did.
24 laps to go. Maxie Bush with a run up on the back bumper of Zach Brewer.
That car looks good, doesn't it?
Couldn't quite get by him. He's been fast, though. We saw him pick up a number of positions. Let's see if he can cut to the bottom here.
Wow, that's close. That's close racing, too. Those guys look like they headed north. One went north and one went south right at the same minute. There goes Busch to the inside.
Yeah, I think Brewer kind of saw that one coming and said, look, if I keep holding him up like this, I'm going to get turned around.
I'll be heading the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So that's a good, smart move by young Zach Brewer, and the veteran Maxie Busch is continuing marching toward the front.
So Busch up to the number 3 spot now. And we look at back Danny Bagwell in the number 10 car running in 8th, and Ricky Bryant trying to pick his way back up through after the spin a minute ago. He's now in 9th.
Those guys have had eventful evenings, but yet they've remained on the lead lap, and Bryant's car looks fast here.
Doesn't look like he lost anything. I mean, flat spotted the tires or anything like that. He's still pretty well up to speed.
They're working on...
He's got a little bit of a fender rub there, though. See the smoke around the left front tire on the Bryant car?
Yeah, and they're both shooting to the inside of Brandon Ward. Looks like he might have a problem.
7th and 8th place changing hands. Maybe 9th, too.
Whoa. Man. It looked like the 82 Van Cleef. Yeah, there was a problem with Brandon Ward, and the 82 heads up driving there. When Ward slowed down, the 82 didn't punt him. They was able to get off of him, and that was close.
Yes, it was. So the race for 7th and 8th continues now between Bagwell in the 10 and Ricky Bryant in the 5. Just look at the little wisp of smoke from that left front tire. Looks like the fender's in on it just a little bit on that 5 car from the accident earlier.
Yeah, he'll be lucky if that thing will run 20 laps with a tire rub, and you never like to try to go that far, but maybe the lightweight metal on the front of the car will not cut the tire.
Here's the leader, Shane Meal, as you can see, got a big enough advantage that the second place car doesn't even appear into the camera frame at this point.
That's got to be a great feeling, doesn't it?
Hey, check this out. 38 cars, Roger Sawyer. Remember, he was a lap down in the very early part of the race. We saw him get back on the lead lap. He just passed Maxie Busch for 3rd. He is flying. Where did he come from?
Man, he came from the back stretch. He's pitting over there. He used a provisional. What's that sound like, Alan? It sounds a whole lot like what happened here a year ago.
Yeah.
Zach Brewer started on the back stretch after using a provisional and wound up in victory lane. Sawyer looks like he's on the same mission. You can see here.
Ooh, traffic.
Johnny Chapman's closing in on.
Robert Huffman going a lap down. Point leader.
Point leader's going to lose some ground.
Overtaken.
Pretty healthy point lead.
Yeah, that's not the issue, but I think he might have flat spotted his tires in that spin over there on the backstretch, and so he's headed for pit road. They're coming up in the Edward Howell car, the 07. Howell moves left, gives the leaders room to go to his outside as they continue to race for the top 2 spots. Shane Meal in the 26, Johnny Chapman in the 33, trying to settle this thing among themselves.
This is a great race. Just what you'd want to see from the Dash Series, Alan. We heard Scott Weaver saying earlier this is a beginner's division. You know, there's guys in here that don't have a whole lot of racing experience. They come to challenge these veterans of the series. What we have at the front of the field right now is a kid leading and a veteran in second, and a fast closing Roger Sawyer from the back stretch after using a provisional. It's all tightening up here at the end of the race.
Roger Sawyer, sophomore driver in the Goodies Dash Series. 7th in points overall in his first year last year. Look at Chapman right to the inside. I believe they touched there. Meal is slowing. Meal is slowing. Chapman goes by and takes over the race lead. Shane Meal is slowing down.
Nice, speeding back up. What do you think's up with that?
It's odd. Very odd. So Johnny Chapman out in front for the first time all race at lap 142. Now 7 laps to go. Here is the race for second. As Roger Sawyer tries to move through. Well, actually, he is now second. He's taken that spot away from Shane Meal, who continues to slow. So Johnny Chapman now with 7 laps to go, and the caution is out. Brandon Ward is in trouble on the back straightaway. Caution is out with 6 laps to go in the race. Let's go to pit road. Randy.
Absolutely unbelievable. It appeared that Shane Meal would win his first race here this evening, but as you can see, he was absolutely out of gas, has run the tank dry. His first victory will not happen this evening.
Wow, this car, you can see Brandon getting that thing to pit road. He looks like he's bent the housing on the thing, Alan, down on the inside wall there on the back stretch. This thing's going to get interesting, though. Meal ran out before lap 150, and now the caution's out. we got the possibility of seeing some overtime here. It looks like we're getting ready to go back to racing, so it should conclude by 150. But this fuel wind must be tightening up on these guys.
Yeah, remember, only 8-gallon fuel cells on board the Goodies Dash cars. We're going to go back green at lap 147. 3 laps to go. Johnny Chapman leads. Roger Sawyer is second. Who's going to win? We're back at it. Let's find out.
Oh,
Trouble.
man.
Maxie Bush hard into the outside wall in turn 1. Caution is back out. Look at the damage to that car.
I was having fun watching Maxie shoot his way through this field, and I'll be darned. Car's tore all to pieces right here with just 2 laps to go.
Another look at it.
Check him out. He's on the outside of the 31 car. They get down to turn 1, and, I mean, he turns into the corner. The 31 wasn't down on the bottom of the racetrack. That's just racing, man. You just 2 guys are arguing over space, and unfortunately, Maxie wound up on the short end of the stick.
Under caution, we'll take a break. Come back for the finish. Well, we're headed to overtime at Bristol. A race scheduled for 150 laps. Can't finish under the caution. In the Goodies Dash Series, it's going to be green, white, and checkered. Johnny Chapman trying to hold on to score the win. Here we go one more time.
Oh, Johnny doesn't get going.
What is going on with the leader? Is he out of gas?
I bet you he's out of gas.
And look at Sawyer. He didn't get going either. Unbelievable.
We're lucky. Oh,
Contact. Brewers around into the outside wall. Yellow's out again. We're not going to finish this thing yet. Wow. Brewer had just taken over the lead when Johnny Chapman didn't get going on the restart. Now he and Bryant are both crashed in turn number 3. There's Bryant's car coming back around. He's had a hard night.
man. Rogan in the 94 car got into Brewer, it appeared.
There's Zach out of the car. Good to see. I'm okay, signaling his competitors. Here's Rogan coming down pit road. So he's got some damage. Now, he had taken over the lead there when the other guys crashed. Look, he needs fuel.
He needs gas, too.
This is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
See what overtime does? Messes up all your strategy.
Pressure's on, isn't it? A good case for the green-white checker thing in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Let's take another look at it. And I mean, a case against it is what I mean by that, by the way.
You don't want to get into all this. There's Chapman, had the race won. His car wouldn't go, out of gas, went to the pit. Rogan dove down on the inside of Brewer, and he squeezed Brian into the outside wall. I don't really know what precipitated the...
Oh, look at this. Ooh, hang on.
You ever wonder how steep the turns are at Bristol?
Well, it's not fall. Okay, let's try this again. Roger Sawyer's the leader. Look at Rogan. He's out of fuel.
Well, he was just in the pit. How could that be? Look who's second again after coming to pit for gas earlier. Johnny Chapman right on Roger Sawyer.
This is absolutely crazy.
We're going to come back and get the white.
Here's Chapman looking on Roger Sawyer. Not this time. White flag. Let's see if we can get through the final lap. Chapman, the 91 Series champ, all over the sophomore from Orlando, Roger Sawyer, who's come back from a lap down to fight for the win. Here he goes to the outside. Final corner coming up.
Wow, what a move by Johnny Chapman. He dove in there and got on the outside.
Sawyer wins.
by a bumper.
Did we win? Did we win? Yes, you won. Roger Sawyer has won the Pabst Blue Ribbon 150 at Bristol. An absolutely wild finish to a terrific race. How about that?
What about the move by Johnny Chapman to get on the outside of Sawyer, but then Sawyer never blinked. He just put that thing back to the mat and drove off turn 4 and
let's
won
take
the
another
race. Look. Check this out. They're coming to get the checker right here. This is going to show you how close of a finish this was.
Wow, half a length. Terrific. Let's go to victory lane.
Roger Sawyer climbs out his first ever Goodies Dash Series victory, and he does it at one of the toughest tracks in America, Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations. Your wife here to meet you in victory lane. Tell me your thoughts right now.
Well, I'm pretty excited, obviously. Coming into this race, I was going to rank Bristol as one of my worst tracks because this is my second time here, and I have failed to qualify both times. I've had to take provisionals, and I don't know what it is. I guess I just grew some hair or something, running it through the corner, you know. Just happy to be here.
You're also able to do it. I mean, the car's damaged as typical Bristol, but you bring it home first.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to thank Mannheim, Orlando, Orange County Auto Auction, and Alan and Butch and all the guys for everything they do for us. My beautiful wife, my family, the whole crew. We just want to thank everybody.
How about it?
It's wonderful.
30-year-old Roger Sawyer, first NASCAR Goodies Dash Series win, led the final 7 laps to score the victory after coming back from a lap down.
What an entertaining race, huh?
That was
Shane
fun.
Bill hung on to a top 5 finish there after having a problem with his gas.
Poor old Cam Strader wound up in 20th position. And you look at the rest of the rundown from the Bristol Pabst Blue Ribbon 150.
Yeah, and the winner, fortunately, was old enough to have a Pabst Blue Ribbon if he would like. A bunch of kids in this race. I was wondering how that was going to work out.
All right. This was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Michael, thank you. Randy Pemberton, thank you. Roger Sawyer's the winner. I'm Alan Bestwick. We'll see you next time here on Speed Vision.